Interior Ministry officials say the suspect, Yunis Safarov, has ties to a militant group that wants to establish Islamist rule in Azerbaijan, a secular state where most people are Shiite Muslims, and that he trained with militants in Syria. They have cited no sources for the information. But some Ganja residents challenge the ministry's version of events. They suggest Safarov was motivated by revenge for what they see as Valiyev's mistreatment of Ganja residents and disrespect for their religious views. In a rare outbreak of violence against officialdom in the South Caucasus nation, 2 police officers were stabbed to death in clashes when a protest over Safarov's arrest and unofficial reports that he was beaten in custody turned violent on July 10. A third, Samir Bayramov, was wounded. Azerbaijan, a majority Muslim country of about 10 million, has grown wealthy from oil and natural gas since it declared independence from the Soviet Union in 1991. Protests are rare and are put down quickly. Drawing parallels with Aliyev, they accuse Valiyev, 57, of treating Ganja like a personal fief, showing no regard for the city's poor and being high-handed with anyone who stands in his way. The unrest was brief and there is no sign of it spreading. Aliyev, who succeeded his father Haydar Aliyev as president in 2003, brooks little dissent and the opposition is weak. Deeply entrenched elites and long-term rulers in other countries in the region are watching closely. Kazakhstan, Russia, and Turkmenistan all have economies that are reliant on energy and leaders who are nervous about any signs of unrest. Europe is also watching. Because of its energy reserves and strategic location along the Caspian Sea, Azerbaijan is seen by Europe as an important alternative to Russian energy supplies, and BP is a major investor in the country. Acts of terrorism. Aliyev has shown his concern by taking charge of the investigation into the events in Ganja, which he has described as acts of terrorism and crimes against Azeri statehood aimed at intimidating society. The authorities also showed their nervousness by trying to stop news of the protest spreading, city residents said. For 2 days afterwards, mobile telephone data services were turned off in Ganja, making it hard to access social media, they said. Some had used Facebook to circulate information about the events and the prosecutor's office has opened criminal cases against the editors of 4 independent Azeri websites that reposted their entries. Police say 4 people accused of links to radical religious organizations were killed in sting operations after the assassination attempt and protest. In addition, 61 have been arrested and charged, and 13 others are wanted by police. None wanted to be identified for fear of reprisals except Amir Khanli, though Azeri officials deny Western charges of repressing and intimidating opponents. We were shocked that someone dared to take a gun and shoot the mayor, a pensioner said in a Ganja park, lowering her voice and looking round to make sure no one was eavesdropping. But honestly, no one was particularly worried because Valiyev did a lot of bad things in our city. The rich became richer and the poor became beggars, she said. The attack is just a terrorist act. It's not connected to any particular motives, revenge, or response to the supposed social tyranny by Valiyev, it said. Large-scale construction work has been carried out in the city. The authorities have had meetings with city residents, listened to their complaints and dealt with them effectively. Lessons to be drawn: potholed roads and some old buildings have been repaired in Ganja, shopping malls have been built and a 4-star Ramada Plaza hotel has been erected. The city center is dominated by a vast park named after Haydar Aliyev, who was president from 1993 until 2003. But Amir Khanli said, unemployment is very high and the majority of young residents of Ganja emigrate to Russia or Turkey. An 84-year-old pensioner who declined to be named said he had been tricked by the city authorities into leaving his flat in a rundown building while it was repaired. The authorities reneged on a promise to pay for his and others' temporary accommodation and are now trying to persuade them to cede ownership of the flats to a construction firm that wants to demolish them and build on the site, he said. The pensioner said he had managed to meet Valiyev to petition him over the property, but the mayor was very rude. The mayor's office did not respond directly to the pensioners' remarks but said it had no evidence of Elmir Valiyev having an unlawful attitude towards citizens. Aliyev's supporters say he has brought stability to Azerbaijan, modernized the country and forged closer ties with Europe since succeeding his father in 2003. Signs of public anger have flared in recent years. Protests in Baku in 2011, by crowds demanding Aliyev and his government quit, ended after a security crackdown and mass arrests. In 2016, protests broke out in at least 3 cities, Kuba, Siyazan and Shabran, over rising bread prices and a sharp devaluation of the manat currency as oil prices fell. Police responded with widespread arrests, residents said. The unrest in Ganja has also been contained. There is no organized opposition political force in the country that can compete with the ruling elite, said Ilgar Velizade, an independent political analyst. But the authorities should draw some lessons from the recent events and reconsider their personnel policies, pay more attention to social problems, and communicate more with people. A $38 billion sovereign wealth fund has been set up to ease the pain of any economic downturn. Foreign donors have also urged Baku to diversify the economy to make it less dependent on oil and gas, which make up about 75% of state revenues. There is little sign of it doing so, with the government expecting 2% growth this year after only 0.1% in 2017 and a 3.8% contraction in 2016. The status quo may suit the West as stability helps it implement global energy projects in the region, Velizade said. The European Union's efforts to reduce reliance on Russian gas depend partly on developing the so-called Southern Gas Corridor, which is expected by 2020 to bring about 16 billion cubic meters of gas a year to Europe via Georgia and Turkey from Azerbaijan's Shah Deniz field.